The sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine! Cause we want retribution! Yeah, we want retribution!
But coming to the green here, it's going to clean out real well. Pace cars off, keep the mass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Take care of your stuff.
Three wide.
Ear Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble.
Great job, doing awesome, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nazareth Speedway, where tonight it is race number 7 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. It is the Goodyear 500. We had ourselves a fantastic, very wild, very chaotic at most times Martinsville weekend. And just in case if you guys missed it, we had 6 cautions. We had a massive turn 1 blockade that saw Nia Steidl make it through and fight it out with Joshua Cornish for the victory at Martinsville last Saturday night. Well, this week, both drivers are in this race. Cornish was able to make it to tonight's event. And as for Nia Steidl, she's got a little bit more momentum on her side. And things are definitely looking pretty. Things are looking pretty good for Steidl points wise, which we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But as for Nazareth Speedway, focusing in here for this weekend, it is the first time in WRLA Pepsi Cup Series history that we are visiting the Nazareth Speedway. And there's a plethora of other tracks that we're going to be visiting for the first time here in the near future, like Indianapolis, for instance. The Indianapolis, Darlington, just to name a few. Because the reason why I say that is because the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series has never really gone farther than maybe I want to say 10 races within a single season. So it should be very interesting to see, you know, how these drivers and how the, you know, what kind of racing that we're going to see later on in the year at some of these other tracks. Nazareth, of course, is going to be one of them. And by gosh, I'm honestly really excited for some Pepsi Cup racing here at the Nazareth Speedway. It is going to be very fun to watch here. And qualifying, we saw it in qualifying, you know, there was a lot of cloud cover that came over the track, and that saw obviously the track temperatures go down, and the grip levels went up, and we saw some really fast times during qualifying. And as you can see, there is a huge overcast of clouds, so that means we could see speeds go up maybe just a bit more, or either that or they could remain about the same. But we're going to find that out here once we drop the green flag. Let's go ahead and take a look at your points standings coming into this weekend here at the Nazareth Speedway. Zachary Fitzwater managed to survive all the chaos and hold on to the points lead. Quentin Moore jumps up to second. He currently is behind by 21 points. There's a lot of other drivers that took some hits in the point standings. Others managed to benefit from that. For example, you know, Phillips was in the top 10 for a good part of the season up until this past week, and she wound up not having herself a good weekend whatsoever, and she drops to 16th on the charts here. Let's scroll to the next page here, and you're going to see Nia Steidl, who managed to get a big jump. She was 35th in the point standings, and with that win, she jumped up to 21st. She dominated every category. She led a lap, got that bonus point, led the most laps, got those 5 bonus points, and then the 10 bonus points for winning the race that also come along with finishing in first place, which obviously you get 40 points for just that. And there's a look at the rest of your points right there. Alex Bonsignor continuing to struggle massively this season as he's down to 32nd in the points. Reagan Whitlock, you see down there at the very bottom as well. she continues to struggle and just obviously did not have herself a good weekend at Martinsville, and points wise, and that showed it, points wise, and it just, unfortunately, things have not really been going too well for Reagan Whitlock, but nonetheless, though, things, I would say for sure, have been on the up and up as far as qualifying goes, because there's a good amount of drivers that are in need of some good points runs, like Reagan Whitlock, for instance, are going to be starting up towards the front of the field. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup here for the Goodyear 500 here at the Nazareth Speedway. Campbell Marsh starts on pole, and Emily Anderson is going to line up alongside Tanner Parton and Ryan Gondola. They make up row 2. Russell Blaze, 5th in the point standings, 5th starting spot here in this race. There's Reagan Whitlock starting in the 6th position, looking for a really good run here tonight. There's the Appalachia Motorsports cars of Bruno DiGiacomo and also Caleb Rose. They make up the 6th row. Jerry Rose, who ended up not having himself a good race whatsoever at Martinsville, looking to try to bounce back here. Same goes for Andrew Miller. Miller had himself a really good run at Martinsville last week, hoping to try to capitalize on another great run here this weekend. There's runner-up. There's a runner-up from last week's race, Joshua Corner, starting in 29th. And then Quentin Moore, runner-up with the points standing, starting in 30th. He's going to have his work cut out for him. Scroll over to the next page here for the starting lineup. There's Claire Phillips, Wyatt Walker. They're going to be starting towards the back of the field. Both drivers are going to have their work cut out for them. Stephen Colon, who is in the top 10 of the points standing, starting 39th. Nia Steidel, our last week's winner, starting in the 40th position. So both of these drivers are going to have their work cut out for them once the green flag drops. And then there are provisional starters, the number 1 of Wayne Lopez, who is also in top 10 of the points standings, and Noah Clifton, whom unfortunately was not able to qualify as well as he normally would have here for the Goodyear 500. And that honestly is such a heartbreaking moment right there for Noah Clifton. But you do have to say, though, things, I mean, eventually it was going to happen. The qualifying run was going to run out. Well, the qualifying luck was going to run out, but nonetheless, Clifton's going to start in the back for this race, but it should be interesting to see if he's going to be able to work his way up towards the front of the field. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is our 7th race of the season. We've had 6 different winners so far, 5 overall that have been full time. Now let's see if we can have ourselves a repeat winner, either that or a 7th different winner here at the inaugural event here at the Nazareth Speedway. Drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up, but in order to get these 42 behemoths rolling on the track, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside and get just that.
Drivers, start your engines.
Engines are fired. Pace car is getting set to roll off. And the rest of the 42 car grid will roll behind the pace car. And we should be 100% good to go here. All the drivers have rolled off. And they are ready to start the Goodyear 500 here at the Nazareth Speedway, race number 7 on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series schedule. See Emily Anderson there in the number 4, rocking new colors here for this season. Mountain Dew once again sponsoring Emily Anderson, and both wins on her Pepsi Cup career have come with Mountain Dew colors, so history could very well repeat itself here tonight. Pace car drops off here into turn 3, taking the access road to pit road. And that will put the field in the hands of Campbell Marsh and the number 4 of Emily Anderson to lead the field to green and get this race started. through the restart zone. Green is out. We're racing in Nazareth. Dead even down the back straightaway between Campbell Marsh and Emily Anderson as they dive into turns 3 and 4. This time by Marsh with the clear advantage. He jumps out front and leads lap number 1 here at Nazareth. 135 laps to distance, so we've got a good amount of ways to go here as Anderson's going to tuck in that second position. There's Tanner Parton sitting in that third spot. Russell Blaze breaks out in fourth. And Rogel Dorn, who had himself a fantastic qualifying run earlier today, started in the 7th position, looking to try to rebound and try to get his season turned around and catch up with with the other Durrani Racing teammates, Blaze and more, in the point standings. Two part-timers going at it. There's Bobby McGuire in the 3, getting to the inside of Ryan Gundillo. This is the fight for the 6th position. McGuire trying to take that away, and he's going to easily get it here going into the 3rd corner. Reagan Whitlock right there, getting ready to pounce on this number 51 if he winds up making a mistake or if she finds an opening here going down through the little oval, but ends up slipping up, and that's going to open up the door for Jerry Rose to drive to the inside. Heading through turn number 2, caution on the speedway. I just saw the yellow lights come on. We had a huge crash heading into turn 1. That's Stephen Colon in the 25. Major front end damage to the Chips Ahoy machine. I saw Alex Bonsior get caught up. And there's Travis Crampton in the number 61 with a little bit of damage to his race machine. Caution out for the first time tonight here at the Nazareth Speedway. The race has been won by the 38 of Campbell Marsh, and already these drivers are going to waste no time and head on down to pit road here on lap number 5. We're gonna now I think at this rate we're 100% gonna see what the strategy is gonna be for a good amount of these drivers. If whether or not some of them are gonna take 4 tires, some of them are gonna take 2, or just not do it, or not take 4 tires and just take a can of fuel and go. Looks like 2 cars, a few of them wound up staying out. That would be Terry Walker, Noah Clifton. I see Nia Steidel stayed out, and Wyatt Walker. Brian Little stayed out as well. So 5 cars stayed out, and looks like we might have ourselves a different look heading into the top 10. And we'll review your top 10 running order once we after we take a look at this replay that brought out our first yellow flag of the evening here at the Nazareth Speedway. There's also a few other things that I got to do as well, because for some reason we are lagging a little bit. We are lagging just a little bit, and I want to try to see if I can reduce the lag by minimizing some other stuff. So we'll definitely figure that out. Hopefully we did, but I'm not 100% certain. But we'll keep an eye on it as this event goes on. And I do believe, yes, indeed, that was the case. This indeed was the case. So we're going to look at this from the aerial view. And this was 3 wide. This was between Stephen Colon, also the 61 of Travis Crampton in the middle, and Roberto Crown Jr. up top. What winds up happening is, I believe, Colon gets in. I believe also as well, Travis Crampton does get into the right rear, and that sends the 61 and the 25 up into the outside wall. There was a couple other cars that wound up getting collected. Abby Walker gets a little bit of damage from this as she drives away from the scene. But troubles coming up early for Stephen Colon, who had just broken back into the top 10, mind you, as we're going to look at this in full speed. Hard into the outside wall there on the exit of that little black corner right there on the front stretch. Man, that was just an absolutely atrocious hit there for Stephen Colon, and his night is going to end early here at the Nazareth Speedway on lap number 5. That's just rather unfortunate though for Stephen Colon. He had himself a really great run at Martinsville last week, which put him back inside of the top 10 of the point standings. He didn't qualify well here tonight, and unfortunately, this is the result of trying to work your way up to the front. You put yourself in these very precarious positions, as what Stephen Colon did, and that's unfortunately the way that the ball rolls sometimes. And Stephen Colon is 100% done for the night here at the Nazareth Speedway on lap number 5. So, as the field cycles around under caution, we see 5 cars again that wound up staying out. So they were Terry Walker, Noah Clifton, Nia Steidel, Wyatt Walker, and Ryan Little. Those 5 drivers wound up staying out, and they're going to be your new top 5 here, as Terry Walker's going to take the race lead. So in 6th, that will be the 07 of Tanner Parton. Both Vision Motorsports cars inside of the top 10, as well as the Durrani Racing cars, 7th and 8th. That would be Russell Blaze in the 69, Rogel Dorn 86. Bobby McGuire will be sitting in the 9th spot, and Reagan Whitlock continues to hold on inside of the top 10. And Pulse and race leader, former race leader, well, our front row, do want to say our front row, unfortunately didn't wound up having the best of pit stops, as Campbell Marsh, Emily Anderson, both of those drivers have fallen back to 13th and 14th respectively, as the field is going to cycle around through turn number 4 and head down the front stretch. See if the lights are going to go out on the pace car, and they will. 1 lap and we will be back to green flag racing from here at the Nazareth Speedway. There were no cars 1 lap down, so everybody is going to line up single file. The only driver out of the race, obviously, is the number 25 of Stephen Colon, so he will be in the garage area. And yeah, we're still lagging a bit, so not sure exactly what's going on there. Probably could be because of, all 42 cars kind of just sitting on, just kind of here and on track, and, just kind of racing. I mean, once these drivers do get up to speed, hopefully the frame rate does continue to go up, because right about here, that's where all the frames drop. But pace car is off, and field comes off of turn number 4, and we're getting ready to go back under the green flag. And Terry Walker, who stayed out, along with Clifton, Steidel, Walker, and Little, are all going to lead us down. And Steidel almost thought about taking it downstairs on Noah Clifton, but Clifton is also thinking about taking it downstairs on Terry Walker. But so far, the top 5 holding on all on their own as of right now, as they head back into the 3rd corner. And Walker continuing to hold on to this race lead, and Steidel's going to lose a little bit of ground to Noah Clifton, and we'll see what happens if he's going to be able to get to the inside of the 99 heading through turns 1 and 2. So far, not able to make that move stick, as she's going to overdrive the corner, and that's going to allow Clifton. Actually, wait a minute. Noah Clifton's coming to pit road. Clifton is coming on down to pit road here in the number 99 machine. So troubles for Noah Clifton, as he's going to just bail out and go to pit road. And that will give Steidel up to, that will put Steidel in 2nd, put Walker up to 3rd, and then the 27 of Ryan Little in the 4th position. But that is a tough break there for Noah Clifton, who restarted 2nd, and now he's going to fall 1 lap down to the 48 of Terry Walker, who has himself a 2/3 of a second advantage on Steidl because of that. Not 100% sure if there's going to be if any of the other 4 cars that stayed out are going to come on down to pit road, if they're going to do the same thing that Noah Clifton just did, but we're about to find out here in a few laps time. Little gets a bit loose there going through turn 1, and that almost opened the door for his teammate Tanner Parton to drive to the inside. That would have been for the 4th position. But as of right now, 3 cars are wrapped up underneath of a blanket. That's Parton, Blaze, and McGuire. And Blaze trying to get to the inside of the 07 to try to knock on the door to get inside of the top 5. So far, no progress being made there whatsoever. And McGuire just riding here in this 7th position as they head back into turn number 3. But so far, other than Noah Clifton, Wayne Lopez came down to pit road, and he's exiting the pit lane. I'm not 100% sure what wound up happening to the one of Wayne Lopez, but now he's another driver that's going to fall 1 lap down. There was at least 2 other cars that came down. That would be Skylar Taylor and Eric Monaco. Those 2 cars went in and made their pit stops. So those 2 are going to be 1 lap down. Lopez is going to be 2 laps down. And as we're looking at our points leader, Zachary Fitzwater, he does have a buckle on the hood of that number 98 per tech machine. So a little bit of trouble for Fitzy. But then again, right now, riding in 17th, the blessing in disguise as of right now, not so much of a disguise that the blessing is in, but the good thing, I should say, about having as much damage as what Fitzy has as of right now is that aerodynamics do not mean a single thing. So Fitzy can still run as hard as he needs to, and everything will be a-okay. How about Valkyrie Atikian in the number 23, who had started just outside of the top 10 and has picked up 3 positions and now has moved up into the 8th spot. Trying to go for 4 as she's getting ready to go to work on Bobby McGuire here. Heading back through 1 and 2. But so far, nothing much has really happened here between these 2. Everybody has kind of gotten into a single file green flag rhythm. Steidl continuing to chase down Terry Walker, kind of getting in and trying to bite into the lead just a little bit. It went from 2/3 of a second to just a tad bit over a half a second there as they now once again head down the back straightaway into the 3rd corner. Terry Walker continuing to lead the charge here in this number 48 after being one out of 5 cars that stayed out during that last caution period. And continues to show the way here in the Ally Toyota Camry. One of those drivers that ended up getting his first McDonald's Cup Series win last year at the Nashville Super Speedway. And we are going to Nashville later on this year in July. So I'm honestly really excited to see if Terry Walker is going to go back-to-back at the Nashville Super Speedway. Oh, he overcooks turn 1 just a bit, but gathers it back together over in turn number 2. But so far, things are looking pretty stout for the front 4 since they stayed out under that last caution flag. So everything looking pretty fine and dandy. Let's scroll back through the field. Campbell Marsh is in trouble as he's now trapped on that 2nd lane. He's going to lose the 13th position to Ryan Gondillo and almost lost 14th to Jerry Rose. Speaking of Rose, Caleb Rose No relation, by the way, between Jerry and Caleb. Caleb Rose in this number 59 is trying to get to work here on Zachary Fitzwater. Going to easily muscle his way through turns 3 and 4 and head back down the front straightaway, and will take over that 16th position heading down into turn number 1. Scroll back through the field here just a little bit more. Everybody is calmed down a bit and gotten themselves into a single file green flag rhythm. There's Nathan Stapleton in the 97. Stapleton wound up starting just outside of the top 20 in the 25th position. Well, I think points-wise, that's where he's at as well, just outside of the top 25. But as of right now, Stapleton is another one of those drivers that came on down pit road, had an unscheduled stop, and he finds himself 38th, 1 lap down. So troubles for Nathan Stapleton. A lot of damage to the 89 of Joshua Cornish. I'm pretty sure he might have ran right into the back of somebody under caution that enabled the crew to rip the nose, come clean off of the number 89 of Cornish's machine, just to try to get some air into that car. But that's our first modified that we've seen here tonight here at the Nazareth Speedway. Saw a good amount of those last week at Martinsville. But here at Nazareth Speedway, this track is just at least 0.4 of a mile larger, just shy of being a 1 mile racetrack. But if you want to round it up just a bit, you could still count this as a 1 mile racetrack, but it kind of races a little bit like a short track in a way. But as of right now, on lap 27, well, we're coming around to complete lap 27 this time by. All these drivers, they're getting themselves into a good, consistent green flag rhythm. They know there's still a good amount of this race left to go, and you know, they're buying their time and they're doing everything that they can to just try to save their stuff for the end. So, oh, Wayne Lopez gets a little loose there, tags the wall, and there comes Emily Anderson in the 4 to drive right underneath of her own teammate of Wayne Lopez. Anderson finds herself in this 12th position, but riding pretty consistently as of right now. She started outside pole here for this race, and she's been doing a pretty good job as of right now, you know, just buying her time. Every driver right now is buying their time, and you know, and just doing the best that they can to make it to the first green flag pit stops of the night. So definitely want to keep an eye out for that here as this race goes on. But so far, we've only had 1 caution flag. If there's anybody that is currently tuning in, we are 29 now laps complete here at the Nazareth Speedway. Your race leader is the number 48 of Terry Walker. He was one of 5 cars that stayed out under the previous caution flag, which flew on lap number 5, and the only driver currently out of the race is Stephen Colon in the number 25 machine. It was a multi-car incident, but it was not a huge one, as he went head on into the outside wall on the front straightaway, and that's what wound up knocking him out of the race here at the Nazareth Speedway. But he had just also climbed back up inside of the top 10 in the point standings, and he's going to take a hit after tonight. And after that, pretty much at this rate, it's just get ready for Talladega here in 2 weeks, because it's going to be a very interesting month of May. You know, starting off with a wild card race at Talladega, and then going over to Kansas, then North Wilkesboro, Charlotte, then Pocono. So 5 races all within the span of 1 month. Obviously, Talladega starts off the month of May. Pocono ends it off. So it's going to be a really interesting month here, but we got to get past this race first. Nia Steidel still trying to chase down Terry Walker, just biting into that lead a little bit more. And with every lap that goes by, she's trying to search for her second win of her Pepsi Cup Series career and of the season, but trying to go back-to-back here in the WRLA. And to my knowledge, that has never happened before. That has never happened before in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. I do not recall one driver winning 2 races in a row in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. I mean, I am probably the closest that might have happened. I don't know. It's been... I can't even go back to 2017 because all those races are just a blur at this point. But, you know, when it comes down to, you know, 2023, I mean, in the WRLA, that is, you know, it's kind of hard to tell because, you know, those drivers have, there's been some drivers that have come close to winning back-to-back, but I haven't seen it yet. So I haven't seen it yet so far for this year. So it is going to be pretty interesting to see if Steidl is going to be able to go back-to-back here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, try to do something that no driver has ever done before in this league. And, you know, it would be pretty impressive, you know, in her sophomore year to pull off something that, you know, I don't even know. I'm kind of just repeating myself at this point, but you get the picture at the end of the day. Steidl looking to try to go back-to-back here in the Pepsi Cup Series. She wound up winning at Martinsville last week. Now trying to win here at Nazareth this week. And things are looking pretty good here for Steidl. Jumped up from 35th to 21st in the point standings. And now at this point, trying to keep those good runs going. Here's Wyatt Walker in the 19. Right now, comfortably riding in the 3rd position, just 2 spots ahead of him, obviously, is his father, who races for his son, who we're talking about right now. Kind of funny enough, but as for Wyatt Walker, he started off the season really good. He led a huge chunk of laps at the Rockingham, you know, back in February, and had himself some good runs here and there to kick off the season. But once we got to COTA, unfortunately, his season turned around, and not in a good way, as we see Ryan Little dive on down to pit road, so he's going to make his pit stop. And Terry Walker is in as well, so good chance that that could mean green flag pit stops are going to be starting this time by. Maybe next time by, but we'll just have to find out. But for Wyatt, you know, his season wound up turning around, and not in a good way, as he didn't have a good run at COTA, not the best run at Auto Club Speedway, and obviously in Martinsville, he didn't have himself the good amount, the best of runs last week. So we'll just have to wait and see if he's able to do that, if he's able to turn it around, as Steidl and Wyatt Walker, speaking of, both of those drivers come on down, so they will surrender the front 4 spots. I saw another car come on in. I believe that is CG Holt. It is. In car number 17, he's going to come on down and make his pit stop. So, yes, green flag pit stops are well underway. Parton stays out, so he will assume command of this race. Parton is another driver that is trying to get his second Pepsi Cup Series win of his career. He wound up winning 2 years ago at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in dominating fashion, mind you. That was all driving for Otter Island Motorsports, which is another team that has been a part of WRLA, obviously back in 2017 and then once again in 2023. But now for Parton, driving for Vision Motorsports, looking to get his second win of his career. There's Russell Blaze, Bobby McGuire, Valkyrie Atikian, those drivers. I mean, obviously, Blaze and McGuire, they're looking for their first Pepsi Cup Series wins. As for Valkyrie, she's trying to get her second Pepsi Cup Series win. Lots of drivers, I'd say, all with the exception of 1st, 4th, and 9th. All those drivers looking for their first wins in the WRLA, and now here comes the 9 of Reagan Whitlock making her trip down the pit road here on lap 44. Zachary Fitzwater is going to follow. Alex Bonsignor has already made his way down into the pits. So from the looks of things, the front 4 cars are all, obviously they're all on a different pit cycle, so they're pitting, I want to say at least 5 laps earlier than the leaders are. And speaking of, race leader Tanner Parton bringing Russell Blaze, Bobby McGuire, Valkyrie Atikian, Dorn, Anderson, and others onto pit road. So the lead goes over to Braden Perez in the 88. But the front 4 could be onto something here if they are actually able to, you know, to guarantee themselves to be good to go all the way to the finish. If this race stays green the rest of the way, what would have to happen, I believe, in my opinion, if they are able to guarantee themselves to be good to go the rest of the way, another caution would have to fly. Maybe another caution, maybe 2 more, so that way they can cycle around, either that or save their fuel as best as they possibly can. And on top of that, they would have to, I mean, obviously maybe either that or they just get on the same sequence as the leaders. So I should say it's the rest of the field. That's what I meant to say, but yeah, my brain is lagging really hard, so I do apologize for that. So the rest of the drivers come on down to pit road. There's Braden Perez, Ryan Gondillo fighting it out side by side on the access road, trying to get back out on track as quickly as they can. Race leader is Jerry Rose in the 00 machine, but we saw him dive to pit road just a handful of minutes ago. A little bit of damage to the driver's side of Tanner Parton's machine, but that really shouldn't mean too much here, as nothing aerodynamically is affected on the 07 machine. But nonetheless, the race lead cycles back over to Terry Walker. More than likely, let's see, across the stripe they go. Indeed, that is the case. So now your top 10 should look like this once green flag pit stops are, should be officially complete now. Terry Walker now is retains the race lead. He takes it back, after this first round of green flag pit stops are now put in the books. Nia Steidel in the 2nd position. Ryan Little now moves into 3rd. 4th is Wyatt Walker. Tanner Parton completes the top 5. Noah Clifton, who has started 42nd in this race, stayed out on lap number 5 when everybody else came down and pit. And when everybody else came down and made their stops, I should say. Wounded up coming on down shortly after a restart. He now finds himself in the 6th position. Reagan Whitlock 7th. Nathan Stapleton, well, actually, no. Clifton now 7th. Whitlock 6th. Clifton 7th. Russell Blaze now 8th. Braden Perez 9th. And Nathan Stapleton finds himself completing the top 10. With 51 laps complete here at the Nazareth Speedway, Terry Walker going to put Wayne Lopez 1 lap down. And Steidel, man, the gap between the 48 and the 6 was at least a 1.5 seconds. But now it shrunk down to 2/3. Steidel trying to get around her teammate of Wayne Lopez. And look, chances are she's going to be able to do so heading through turns 1 and 2 this time by. She easily clears the 1, and now there's open traffic between herself and Terry Walker. Ryan Little now moves around the 1 of Lopez. Terry and Wyatt Walker follows. So everybody making quick work of the 1 of Wayne Lopez. as they head down the back straightaway, down into the third corner. I do believe also, yeah, there's Noah Clifton. I believe he is, yeah, he's way off sequence from everybody else. So he, of course, came on down pit road just a little bit ago, and he finds himself 38th, one lap down. So that cycles Jerry Rose inside of the top 10, Atiki in 9th, and Braden Perez in the 8th position. I believe Stapleton fell outside of the top 10. Yes, he lost 3 more spots in the 97 machine. So 80 laps to go here in the Goodyear 500 at the Nazareth Speedway for race number 7 on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series schedule. Your front 4 pretty much all riding 3 to 7 tenths apart from one another. As of right now, you're at least your front 4. Then you get back here to 5th place, which is 3 seconds back. That is the 07 of Tanner Parton, who's 3 seconds behind the 19 of Wyatt Walker. As you see Wayne Lopez make his way back out on the track after a unscheduled pit stop. Reagan Whitlock, right where she started this race at, in the 6th position, riding very comfortably as of right now. So she's doing a pretty fantastic job here. And this will honestly be a very good points day. She comes into this race 36th, dead last in the points, you know, with 41 to her name. 41 points. And a lot of the other drivers inside of the top 10 have either cracked 150 points or about to hit 200. If you're in the case of Zachary Fitzwater and Quentin Moore, for instance. But as for Reagan Whitlock, 41 points to her name. So definitely looking to turn that around here tonight. Try to get score some very much needed points if she's going to get herself out of last place in the standings. Terry Walker continuing to dominate here at the Nazareth Speedway. And another thing that's also kind of interesting is that Nia Steidel ended up debuting some Xbox colors to her car, and she wound up going to victory lane in her first race under those different colors. Well, this week, Terry Walker ends up debuting the Ally colors on his race machine, and so far dominating this race, and could very well find himself here in victory lane. And we're nearing the halfway point here in this race, so this event has gone by here in a hurry. And this is one of those races that could also, I mean, obviously this race here at Nazareth does tend to blow by here within a breeze. So we could see Terry Walker in victory lane sooner rather than later. But in my honest opinion, depending on how this race plays out, I don't think we're going to be quite done with cautions. I don't think we're out of that neck of the woods just yet. There's Valkyrie Atikian. There's also the 00 of Jerry Rose, having himself a great night tonight after an abysmal night at Martinsville last week. And this is honestly one of those runs that Jerry Rose needs if he's going to start moving his way up through the point standings. He has not had himself a good year whatsoever. But this 00 team of Jerry Rose definitely looking to try to turn things around here in just past the 1/4 mark of the season. Right now running in the 10th position, so he's going to wind up getting some good points nonetheless. Rogel Dorn in the 86 machine. the third Durrani Racing car that unfortunately has not been able to keep up with his teammates of Russell Blaze and Quentin Moore. Obviously, Quentin Moore nabbing his first career win at the Auto Club Speedway back in March. And then Terry Walker Russell Blaze with his consistent runs that he's been having over the course of the season. Obviously not having himself a great run at Martinsville last week, which knocked him out of the top 5 in the runner-up spot in the point standings, I should say. 3rd place, rather. But as for Rogel Dorn, got himself a really good qualifying spot here earlier in this race. Started 7th to start out. Fell back a little bit, but right now riding in the 11th position. Things are looking pretty good here for Rogel Dorn if he's able to hang on to right where he's at in the 11th position, and who knows, could wind up getting a top 10 finish out of this. And this, ironically enough, is around the time that Rogel Dorn started to turn things around in the McDonald's Cup Series last year, and wound up getting a win at Kansas, and that set him on a pretty good stride of consistent finishes. So who knows, we could be seeing some deja vu here for this year on the part of Rogel Dorn. We're focusing back up towards the front of the field. A challenge could be getting ready to be made between on Wyatt Walker's end to try to see if he can get 3rd from Ryan Little. But so far, no challenge is really, well, I mean, obviously the challenge is there on the part of Wyatt Walker. It's just trying to find the right time and the right opportunity to pounce if he's able to get a position on the 27, as you saw Wayne Lopez just scrape the wall yet again in the number 1 machine. Something could, I mean, obviously, yeah, something is awry on Wayne Lopez's car, but I would say for sure though, on Wayne Lopez, you know, it's just, I'd say he's not getting off the front stretch, at least that little dog leg, the way that he would want to. It's really tough to navigate that dog leg, if I would say, because the dog leg over there on the front straightaway is so flat. It's really hard to judge your braking points, and it's right about here, because then you're on the brakes, and then you're back on the gas, and then just as soon as you reach full speed, you're on the brakes again, heading through 1 and 2. And I'd say the dog leg on the front stretch, and then 1 and 2, obviously they're the flattest parts. They're obviously the flattest parts of the racetrack. 3 and 4, just a little bit steeper, just a little, obviously there's a little bit more banking involved, so it's kind of interesting. The track layout here at the Nazareth Speedway is rather interesting, if I may say. Well, Steidl was the closest that she's ever been to Terry Walker as far as, you know, gap-wise. She was about 1/3 of a second behind the 48 as he was trying to get around Chase McClure to put him 1 lap down. But now that lead's starting to open back up. It's a little over 1/2 a second, almost 2/3. And Ryan Little starting to close in just a bit on this number 6 of Steidl. And chances are, if memory does serve me right, I would have to assume these drivers may come back down pit road right around lap, I'd say, right around lap 79-ish or lap 85. We're about to figure that out. We're about to figure that out as this session goes on, as this race goes on. Heading back through turn 4 this time by Terry Walker at this rate has 100% clinched those 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. So that's step 2 there accomplished. Step 3 at this point is to win the race, because obviously, as I've mentioned before, with those with, first place being 40 points, you do accumulate 10 bonus points for winning. So that obviously is going to mean quite a bit here for Terry Walker if he's able to hold on and play the strategies out right to nab his first Pepsi Cup Series win. It's we're just going to have to figure out if he is going to be able to do it. And another, I'd say 80... No, I'd say another 69 laps time. Now make that 68 across the stripe. My math could be wrong here, so I do apologize if that is the case. Wayne Lopez, what's also kind of interesting, he hit the wall on the dogleg, but yet that car has somehow come to life. Terry Walker is in the pits. As soon as I say something, Terry Walker is in the pits. So I did call it there. Lap 79, right around lap 79 or 85. So Terry Walker, first car to come on down pit road, or your race leader is in. So far, he is the only car that I've seen hit pit road. And we have another taker. That would be son Wyatt Walker, making his way down into the pits as Nia Steidl takes the lead here for lap number 80. So Wyatt's going to get some 4 tires, some 4 fresh Goodyears on that number 19 machine, and he'll be down and away shortly. Race leader Nia Steidl is going to come on down to pit road. That will put the field in the hands of Ryan Little, who stays out. And even if he didn't want, and even if he chose to stay out, he would. Even if he wanted to come down pit road, he wouldn't have had much of a choice because he had Wayne Lopez down to his inside, who more than likely is on fresh tires. And now here comes the 27 of Ryan Little. He's going to make his move down into the pit area. So the front 4 cars have all made their stops. They are in the pits. They've all made their stops. So this gives the lead over to Tanner Parton in the 07 machine. Whitlock in second. Blaze in third. Then in fourth is the 88 of Braden Perez, with Valkyrie Atikian completing the top 5. Then it's Jerry Rose in 6th, Rogel Dorn 7th, Caleb Rose 8th, Gundillo 9th, and Bobby McGuire completes the top 10. So as they head down the back straightaway, back into the third corner, so far I have not seen any other takers come on down to pit road. So I would have to say right around lap 85 is when some of these drivers will start making their trips down into the pits. That would be Joshua Cornish, who just came on down pit road in the 89 machine. Alex Bonsignor coming on down in the number 22, currently running 27th out on the racetrack as of right now. And here comes the race leader, Tanner Parton, Reagan Whitlock. Both of those cars coming on in. There's Rogel Dorn in the 86. Top of your screen there for just a moment. Bruno DiGiacomo is in, but that hands the lead over to Russell Blaze in the 69. And now here comes Blaze, followed by Braden Perez, also the 23 of Valkyrie Atikian. Bobby McGuire also making his way onto the pit road. So this gives Jerry Rose the top position momentarily. You also saw Roberto Crown Jr. on pit road just a little bit ago in the 21. So it's the Rose and Rose show as of right now, with Caleb Rose in second, Jerry Rose showing the way, and Bonsignor and everybody else looking to get around Caleb Rose, who all these drivers are on fresher tires. Caleb Rose is not. and neither is Jerry Rose. So both of those cars will have to come on down. I'd say this time by. That is exactly what's going to happen here with Jerry Rose, and Caleb is going to have to wait his turn to come on down to pit road because now he's got cars on his inside. He's got Terry Walker all over his back bumper. So, holding him up actually, that's interesting. So more than likely, the lead is going to cycle back around to another Walker, but it's going to be Wyatt Walker in the 19 machine. Caleb Rose finally is able to make the trip down to pit road, and this could more than likely complete our second round of green flag stops. Also in pit road are Sebastian Vaughn, Claire Phillips, and also Quentin Moore. So now, Andrew Miller is actually still, from what I've seen, from what I can gather, he is still on the racetrack as of right now. Well, scored as the race leader, or was, I should say. So now, at this particular rate, the race lead, as I mentioned, is going to cycle back around to Wyatt Walker. Well, it is going to cycle to Wyatt Walker, and he'll be leading here at the Nazareth Speedway for the first time here tonight. So with 89 laps complete, your top 10 is going to look like this as green flag pit stops are just now starting to wrap up. Wyatt Walker leading for the first time here tonight. Then it's Nia Steidel sitting in the second position. Terry Walker falls back to third. Then running in fourth, that would be Ryan Little. Reagan Whitlock completes the top five. Then it's Russell Blaze in sixth. Braden Perez seventh. Eighth is Rogel Dorn. Ninth is Valkyrie Atikian. And Bobby McGuire completes the top 10 with 90 laps complete, 65 to go in the Goodyear 500 right here at the Nazareth Speedway. The inaugural race here at the Nazareth Speedway, might I mention. Steidel getting around Val Moscow, who has just a slight little buckle on the hood of his Nationwide Chevy. The third entry for Powerhouse Crown Racing, another one of those cars that could have had a good qualifying run earlier today, but unfortunately that's just not how things panned out. So they had to start just outside of the top 10. Well, careful, Roberto. That is one of your cars right there. Now, both of these drivers are 34th and 35th on the racetrack, both of which are the first two cars one lap down. As you see, Noah Clifton making his trip down into the pits, so he is down and away. Again, he is on a much, much different pit sequence from everybody else. But Wyatt Walker in command of the Goodyear 500 right here at the Nazareth Speedway, trying to get his first Pepsi Cup Series win. He's been racing in the series since 2020, was part-time in that season, went full-time in 2023, acquiring a different Walker Family Motorsports and pretty much making it into the version of Walker Family Motorsports that we know now. Obviously, with Wyatt being the team owner, Terry Walker in his first season in WRLA competition. Same for Abby Walker. CG Holt in his second year of competition in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Already with a win to his name at the Kansas Speedway just 2 years ago. But Wyatt still looking for his first win in the WRLA. See a good amount of other cars that came back out on the track. You saw Skylar Taylor was one. Eric Monaco was another. And that could be good news for Wyatt Walker, but bad news for Steidl, as Steidl is getting held up by the 31 of Monaco. And this could open up the door for Terry to drive to the inside of the number 6 if Steidl is not able to get around this 31 quickly. Gets a little bit tight there on the dog leg. And here comes the 48 of Terry Walker pulling up to the back bumper of the 6 of Nia Steidl once they hit the back straightaway. And into turn 3. So far, it is a 1.6 second gap between Walker and Steidl. A 1.63 second gap, and then a third of a second back from Steidl is the 48 of Terry Walker. So we're closing in on 100 laps complete at the Nazareth Speedway. 99 complete this time. And there's going to be 35 laps to go. I said 65 to go, but what I meant was 45 laps to go here at the Nazareth Speedway. But now there's going to be 35 laps remaining here in the Goodyear 500. Right now, Wyatt Walker continuing to show the way, putting Nathan Stapleton yet another lap down, I would believe. And that is indeed the case. He is now 2 laps down in the Powerade Ford Mustang. This season for Nathan Stapleton has unfortunately just not been a good one. And this is kind of that leftover momentum from the McDonald's Cup Series of last year that carried on over to this season in WRLA, and things not looking too good for Nathan Stapleton. The only driver as of right now that has been performing the most consistent, obviously, has been Zachary Fitzwater. But as for Nathan Stapleton, he's just hoping and praying that things do turn around. And I'd definitely say the same thing for both Noah Clifton and Andrew Miller. But we do have one more round of green flag pit stops coming up soon, and that's obviously going to be the thing that determines just exactly who wins this race. We've only had one caution on lap number 5. Other than that, everybody has kept it clean and green. And we could witness history. Obviously, we could see Wyatt Walker go to victory lane. We could see Terry Walker win this race. But as far as the history, Nia Steidl could wound up going back-to-back here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. It is very, very possible, as right now currently running in the 2nd position. If she is able to get this upcoming pit stop down, and if she's able to nail it and get out ahead of both of the Walkers and Ryan Little and open up a huge gap, she at this point could drive away with her 2nd Pepsi Cup Series win and become the first driver to win back-to-back races in the WRLA. She could also become the first woman driver to win back-to-back races in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. 30 to go here at the Nazareth Speedway. Oh, Eric Monaco just absolutely pounded the outside wall coming out of the dog leg. But I was about to mention that Wyatt had found himself in some pretty hefty lap traffic, and he's also got Nathan Stapleton still all over the back bumper of the 19. That's also not going to make anything better for this 19 of Wyatt Walker. And as much as Wyatt would love to open up this lead, obviously, again, the problem is Stapleton is on the back bumper and trying to do everything he can to get one of his laps back. And the more that this continues to go on, the more this continues, obviously, the better the chances are of Nia Steidl catching up and making up some ground on Wyatt Walker. And as you can see, This is just going to get just a tad bit easier here for Nia Steidl as Nathan Stapleton drives around Wyatt Walker to get one of his laps back. Eric Monaco muscling the 19 out of the way. And here comes Nia Steidl. Pulling up 0.6 of a second were just gained right there. And here they come back through turns 1 and 2. Steidl right in the tire tracks of Wyatt Walker as they hit the back straightaway. Back down into turns 3 and 4. Walker, I guess I would say he has definitely regained a little bit of that momentum and is now trying to do his best to check out. But Steidl, again, biting away at that lead just a bit more, now down to 0.2 of a second. Terry Walker sitting in the 3rd position and looking on just in case if anything happens to the front 2. 25 laps to go here at the Nazareth Speedway. So far this race, I mean, for the most part, other than one caution flag, has been, obviously it's been clean, but it's also been, for the most part, a pretty good race, if I may say. A lot of it is just boiled down to the pit strategies and trying to make the right calls to obviously put your driver in prime position to get a win. That's obviously what happened with the first 5 cars of Clifton, Wyatt Walker, Terry Walker, Nia Steidl, and Ryan Little. Unfortunately, Noah Clifton fell short of that, so it's just been these front 4. And they have put on an absolute show here. But Steidl starting to lose a little bit of ground. But made up only 1/100th right there, as you just saw. But other than that, looks like Wyatt Walker has definitely gotten it back together and is trying to do his absolute best to pull away. But I would not count that one final green flag pit stop out. Because here's the thing. These 4 drivers, the Walkers, Steidl, and Little, they're going to be coming around pit road, I would have to say, right around lap 119. If that is the case, either Wyatt has to get a really good pit stop and try to pull away and try to do his absolute best to come out on top of these other 3 cars and pull away. Same could be said for Terry Walker and also Ryan Little as well. But for Nia Steidl, she's got to get herself the best pit stop possible and get out ahead of everybody else. And she would have her 2nd Pepsi Cup Series win in the bag if she's able to open up her lead to about the same deficit that Terry Walker was able to do on her. The same kind of lead that Wyatt was able to pull on her as well. 20 to go here in Nazareth. That pit strategy is going to mean absolutely everything, and that is going to be the difference between winning and losing this race here at Nazareth. Reagan Whitlock has also entered the picture, so this makes this a 3-horse fight for the 5th position if Ryan Little starts to capitalize and try to pounce. For the 3rd position, I meant to say. If actually, hold up, Terry Walker, first taker on to pit road, gonna try to get his pit stop done and out of the way as quickly as he can. So the final round of green flag pit stops are just now getting ready to begin. So this is going to be very interesting. Wyatt Walker comes down. And Nia is going to stay out. So both Walkers both come on down to pit road. Nia Steidl is going to stay out. She's going to lead this lap. She'll get out ahead of both Wyatt and Terry Walker. But I would have to believe she is going to make that trip down to pit road this time by. And no, she's actually going to stay out. Oh, this is actually kind of interesting. I'm not sure if this strategy is going to work, but it's worth a shot. So Steidl continues to stay out. She's going to get ahead of Wyatt Walker. And Ryan Little right there in the second position to be in the perfect catbird seat just in case if Steidl is not able to pull this strategy off. And she again continues to stay out. Ryan Little comes on down to pit road. This is a huge gamble for Nia Steidl. Again, I'm not sure if this is going to work out, but if it does, then, I mean, hey, this would be a pretty impressive strategy for Steidl to pull off as she's able to go back-to-back. Now she comes on down to pit road. So now Nia Steidl is going to surrender the lead and come on down to pit road with 15 laps to go, coming to 14. And this will give Reagan Whitlock the race lead. With Blaze in second and the 88 of Braden Perez in the third position. As of right now, I would have to say the rest of these drivers are going to have to start coming on down here very, very soon. But the chances are, I believe Steidl might have waited a bit too long. Those are the chances. I'm not making any guarantees there, but Steidl's able to stay out ahead of Ryan Little. And is she able to get out on the racetrack ahead of everybody else? She is. But the question will be, will she have the race lead once this round of green flag pit stops wrap up? That is going to be the question. So all eyes are going to be on Nia Steidl as the rest of the drivers are going to make their way down to pit road. Russell Blaze in the 69, continuing to lead the charge, closing in on the 10 to go mark here in another lap time. 11 to go here at the Nazareth Speedway. Trying to make quick work here of Val Moscow. Blaze works his way to the inside. Steidl's going to follow in the tire tracks. Heading back through turn 2. They're side by side down the back straightaway. And here comes Russell Blaze. He's going to surrender the lead and make his trip down into the pits. 10 to go from here at the Nazareth Speedway. Braden Perez currently shown as the leader. So he has yet to come on down to pit road. The problem is, this strategy that Steidl is pulling on is trying to make work. It could very well result in her coming out on top. The problem is, a lot of these drivers are taking risks and they're staying on the track longer than what they normally would. So it's making it a little bit tougher for Nia to actually come out on top. But we are seeing more drivers come on down to pit road. We saw a good handful of them just a little bit ago. Eight to go from here at the Nazareth Speedway. Caleb Rose in the 59 is currently scored as the leader. Vaughn, Quentin Moore, and Abby Walker, they are making their trips down to pit road. Val Moscow coming in. Caleb Rose as well. And I believe that strategy is going to work out. And Nia Steidl, once everybody cycles back around, she will have the race lead. So this strategy worked out in her favor. With 6 laps remaining, the only other driver that I believe has yet to pit and is probably going to pit this time by. As she's down and away, I was wondering where Nikki Fox was. She scored in second as of right now. But that is going to change here with 6 to go. Nia Steidl goes to the point here at the Nazareth Speedway. Ryan Little in second. Terry Walker third. Wyatt Walker in fourth. Reagan Whitlock fifth. Then it's Russell Blaze in the 6th position. Braden Perez 7th. Valkyrie Atikian 8th. Rogel Dorn in the 9th spot. And Bobby McGuire completes the top 10. 5 laps to go from the Nazareth Speedway. Steidl has a 1.6 second gap on Ryan Little. Steidl hoping and praying that everything goes according to plan. But also remember, if a caution comes out, we will not go back to green. The race would pretty much be over at this point right here. So Steidl either hoping for a caution to come out, so that way this race would be done and over with, or if she's able to maintain this lead between herself and Little, the gap is a 1.7 second advantage. With 3 laps to go, we are more than likely going to witness history. The gap has now grown to a 2-second advantage. Steidl continuing to pull away from Ryan Little. And at this point, the fight would just be on for second between Little and the Walker boys. 2 to go. Noah Clifton is going to make his way back out onto the racetrack after making his stop. So that means all cars have officially made their final green flag pit stop of the night. They worked their way now through turns 3 and 4. White flag goes in the air. 1 lap to go for Nia Steidl. Working her way through the dogleg back into turns 1 and 2 for the final time. Last week, she was 35th in the point standings, got her win at Martinsville, moved her up to 21st. But now, this win is going to mean something more. Final time through turn number 4, Nia Steidl is going to win here in Nazareth. Ryan Little is going to come home in second. Terry Walker third. Wyatt Walker fourth. Reagan Whitlock completes the top 5. Then it's Russell Blaze in 6th, then 7th, Braden Perez 8th. Valkyrie Atikian, Rogel Dorn 9th, Bobby McGuire will complete the top 10. But the woman of the hour is Nia Steidl in the number 6, making history tonight as she becomes not only the first woman driver to go back-to-back in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, but the first driver overall to win 2 Pepsi Cup Series races in a row. That what a race. Honestly, that was some really good, clean racing here at the Nazareth Speedway. There's a look at the rest of your results right there from 11th all the way down to 28th on this page right here. Everybody finished on the lead lap. We've only had three retirees. Emily Anderson and Campbell Marsh. Those 2 drivers have joined Stephen Colon in the garage area. But everybody else from 31st on down to 39th, everybody, they've all finished 1 lap down or more. Holt, Phillips, Crown, Cornish, Clifton, then Lopez, Moscow, McClure, and Sebastian Vaughn. Those drivers all finished 1 lap down or more. Let's go back and look at what happened between Campbell Marsh and then Emily Anderson. First, let's look at Campbell Marsh. I would have to imagine that this was on Yeah, right here, that is 100% the case. So this involved both drivers. So coming through pit road, Campbell Marsh trying to get in his pit, runs right into the back of the 4 and pushes her completely out of her pit box, and Marsh just stuck. Both drivers just stuck right there at the exit of turn 4. Oh! So that's what wound up happening. That's what wound up happening. Hold on, we got to take a look at this again. What? That was honestly very, very interesting. So obviously when this happens, one car will teleport back into their pit box, and then when that happens, this happens. Emily Anderson just got launched up into the air after her car completely phased through Campbell Marsh, and she wound up on top of the pit wall. Thankfully, there's no real people there because, excuse me, if that was real, then obviously that would be very catastrophic. But thankfully, this is just a video game and nothing else really happened here. But very unfortunate that both Marsh and Anderson retired from the race in this fashion. That is definitely not the way you want to end off your night in any sort of Pepsi Cup Series race or any race overall. But nonetheless, those are the only 3 retirees that we had so far in this race. Anderson, Marsh, and Cologne. Obviously with Stephen Cologne going out on lap number 5. But nonetheless, great racing all the way around. Huge congratulations to Nia Steidel on her 2nd Pepsi Cup Series win and making history as in 2 different categories again, as the first female driver to win back-to-back races and becoming the first driver overall to win back-to-back Pepsi Cup Series races in a single season. That's pretty much going to do it for us here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Want to thank you guys a lot for watching this. If you're watching this live on Twitch, be sure to hit the follow button so that you do not miss a future stream. If you're watching on YouTube, the full race premiere on YouTube, if you guys like this, be sure to hit that like button. And if you have not considered subscribing yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. We'll be off for 1 week, but then once the month of May comes around, we'll be at the Talladega Super Speedway on May 3rd for our first race of the month of May on Saturday, May 3rd. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, but that race starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, right here on Twitch. Qualifying will also be at 11 a.m. over on YouTube on the day of. So that pretty much is going to do it for us. One more time, congratulations to Nia Steidel on going to victory lane here in the Goodyear 500 at the Nazareth Speedway. Have yourselves a great rest of your weekend, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you guys at the Talladega Super Speedway on May 3rd. Have a good night, y'all.